Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February 2nd, 2022 meeting of the Auburn School Committee. Can I please ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Start with introductions down here to my right, please.
Dan Poisson, Ward 5.
Brian Belknap, Ward 4.
Clarissa Perez Armendariz, Ward 1.
Pam Hart, Ward 2.
Karen Matthew, Ward 3.
Connie Brown, Superintendent.
Eric Gaudier at large.
Pamela Albert, at large.
Jason Levesque, Mayor.
Gabriel Espinosa, Student Representative.
Mark Conrad, Business Manager.
Sue Doris, Assistant Superintendent.
All right, thank you all. And Abigail Fletcher has an excused absence for this evening. All right, let's begin with approval of tonight's agenda, which includes the minutes of the January 19th, 2022 meeting. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Pam.
Second.
I have a second. Thank you, Brian. Questions, comments? All right, all those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Public participation is our first event this evening, and I would think due to the crowd that we have in front of us this evening, we have a few folks who'd like to participate in public participation this evening. I do want to remind the folks that when you do come up to the podium, the microphone is on, although Dan, can you move the podium just a little bit? It's kind of off. Yeah, just slide it over a little bit more. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. So public participation does have some policy around it, and to know me and to know me well is to know that I follow policies. And so this evening, we welcome you to come and speak to us. I think it's very important that you remember part of the policy, which is if you want to print a copy, they are up there on the podium, but that we're asking you to treat others as you would wish to be treated. The other piece of this is that it's requested that comments that are related to any specific personnel be channeled privately to the appropriate administrator. Unfortunately, that podium is not a place for you to come and speak derogatorily about any member or any one of the Auburn School Departments, so keep your comments broad and in general terms. You also have 3 minutes. I was questioned last time why Robert's rules ask for 10. I will tell you that Robert's rules do allow for 10 minutes of public participation unless the organization has their own policy on public participation, which we do. So we have a 3-minute limit to public participation. So I will ask you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. So our policy does overrule Robert's rules because we have our own policy in place. So with that being said, I do welcome open comments to the school committee. Would anyone like to join public participation?
Sure.
Come on up right here, sir.
Good evening. Mo Glano. I live in Auburn.
Thank you, Mr. Glano.
The question I have for the school board is, what are you going to do when you lose all your drivers, all your school bus drivers? No one's coming on board and nobody will come on board the way things are currently. And it's really sad. I've grew up in Auburn, went to Auburn schools. Boy, this thing is bad.
Is it too loud? Is it feeding back on you? Because we can hear you fine.
I don't know if I stand back. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
So, a couple of things I'd like to address, and I'd have to ask the chair to address the superintendent, if I may.
You can address me, and anything that needs to be addressed to the superintendent, I'll pass along.
In the paper this morning, it was written that we had 21 drivers. According to the information that I have, we have 13 drivers. So I would ask the superintendent to meet me at the bus garage tomorrow morning at 6:10, and we'll count the drivers. That's a challenge. And we'll count and see how many there actually are. There's a discrepancy there. The other issue I have is this money that you want to give for bonuses. Everybody's been through the pandemic. In one way or another, it's affected everybody. For you to just arbitrarily say we're going to give bonuses, I'm really opposed to that. It's my tax dollars, and people at Hannaford aren't getting bonuses. People working at Danza aren't getting bonuses. It's just not fair. That's all I have. I want to be brief tonight. I do want to do one thing before I close. I would like to recognize a young lady who did a lot of work and actually did something that maybe should have been done months, if not years ago. She reached out to the bus drivers and got their input and printed it in the papers. So Vanessa, could you stand up, please, so everybody knows who you are? Go ahead. Stand up, Vanessa. Stand up, Vanessa. This is Vanessa who wrote that article in the paper. Everybody should be proud of her. Thank you, Vanessa.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Galano.
What
Anyone
about my
else?
challenge for tomorrow morning at 6:10?
Remains to be seen, sir. Thank you very much. Anyone else like to come and speak in public participation this evening? Hi. Come right up to the podium, name, address, and your affiliation with the Auburn School Department, please.
My name is Mark Tassinari. I live in Auburn, Maine, 36 Summit Street. And I'm a bus driver I used to be a bus driver here in Auburn. I'm a bus driver for Falmouth. And they're saying that the shortages are everywhere. Well, I've got to disagree with that. We have got 19 drivers in Falmouth, 19 bus routes in Falmouth, and we've got 23 drivers. I've worked there for 6 years, and in the 6 years that I've worked there, we've had 2 people go to another district. And out of the 2 people, one of them ended up coming back to Falmouth. And part of it's because of the benefits we get, but the most part of it is because they enjoy working there. They don't have someone looking over their shoulder all the time. They're just, they like to go do your work, you come back, and there's no problems. And that's...
So what I'm hearing is you feel appreciated where you...
They appreciate you, and they do. They really appreciate you. We're getting thanked almost daily for what we do. Okay. They're always appreciating everything we do.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming to speak in public participation. I appreciate it. Anyone else? Hi.
Evening. My name is Louise Labrie. I've been driving a school bus for 22 years. I worked for Auburn School Department for 12 years, and I chose to leave for a lot of reasons. I now work in Falmouth. I've been working there for 5 years. I enjoy working there. It's a great environment. Everybody gets along, and it's just a totally different atmosphere. And we have health benefits, insurance, which Auburn also the same thing, dental that they give us. They give us, I have 3 weeks of vacation pay. I make $23 an hour. And what else do they give us? Personal days, and we have acquired sick time that they give us. And the kids are great, and it's just a good environment to work in, along with a lot of the other bus drivers.
Okay. Thank you so much.
But I do want to say that Auburn was, if you got a job, what was it, 15 years ago, working in Auburn, you had a good job. You had an excellent job. Everybody wanted to work in Auburn, and now they can't even get anybody to work. Nobody wants to work in Auburn.
Okay.
For a lot of reasons.
All right. Thank you for coming to speak with us this evening, and I am sorry you did not find employment in the Auburn school system satisfactory. I am really sorry to hear that. Anyone else would like to come and address the Auburn School Committee this evening? Yep, come on up. Hi,
I'm
good evening.
Donna Destroydens. I live at 31 Woodside Drive in Lewiston. I worked for 28 years for Waynfleet School in Portland, and I retired from there in 2015. And then I decided I didn't want to really retire, and I just wanted to drive closer to home. So I went to Auburn. I had worked there many, many years ago, and it was a good experience for me then. And it was and I retired this past June. And the only reason why I left was because I was retiring. No other reason. I enjoyed working with the people that I was working with extremely a lot. And then I liked working for the people that I had to work for. And I think if people just looked into it a little bit, reading that article this morning that I read, you would think that we were working in a hellhole. I was not working in a hellhole. I enjoyed working there very, very much. I enjoyed working for Sheila. And back 2.5 years ago, Billy went to bat for us, and he got us some holiday time, sick time, vacation time, depending on how you wanted to take it, also health insurance, and we also got a raise. Everybody was very, very happy. Like I say, and then I also want to mention Sheila and Janet, because Sheila performs magic in that place. She really does. She makes routes very smooth. Right now, because of the loss of bus drivers, it's hard to make magic. But she was wonderful to work with, and I enjoyed working. I enjoyed working for Janet. They both know what they're doing. All of them know what they're doing. So I just want to let you know that it was a very good experience for me, and I have no complaints. Thank you.
Thank you for coming to speak this evening. Would anyone else like to come speak during public participation this evening? Hi there.
Hey, Chuck Bowie. I work for the Auburn School Department. You hear people saying that they drive out of town to not work for Auburn. I actually drive from Augusta every day to come down here and work.
Yep, you have to step a little
sorry,
forward. Thank you.
not close enough? Sorry.
Yes, they're here. Thank you.
I actually drive from Augusta, 45 minutes to an hour every day to come down here and work.
Thank you.
I like it. I like working for Billy, Sheila, Janet. My only question is, you guys did an interview with the people that left. Why weren't we interviewed, the ones that stayed?
So, we didn't. So at this point, Dr. Brown is going to actually, I'm not sure if you're referring to the interviews done by the newspaper or interviews
Absolutely.
done.
I mean, why didn't the newspaper come in and ask us, the people that were working? You got one side. That's all it is one side. You need to get both sides.
So I'm sure you understand I can't answer that question.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. But I know she's sitting right there. So, I mean, we need to be interviewed. There's enough people in there that will be interviewed. We need both sides.
Yep, thank you
Not
very
just one.
much. I appreciate you bringing that point up. Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to come speak during public participation? Kind of count to 5 in my head. No one jumping out of their seats. All right, thank you all for those of you who came to speak in public participation tonight. Moving on, we have a presentation this evening from Edward Little, PM. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great.
I think you're about to shine a light on a program that not very many people are aware of, so very thrilled to have seen you on the agenda this evening.
Okay.
Oh.
Something went wrong. Uh-oh.
Here comes IT. It's just magic.
Coming.
It's okay.
Thank you, John. Magic. Well, good evening. My name is Fred Lidstone, and I run the ElPM Credit Recovery Program at the high school. I want to thank you for this opportunity to tell you a little bit about my program. As you said, a lot of people don't know about ElPM. And people often ask, what is ElPM? As far as the title goes, the EL is Edward Little, and the PM is post meridium, which is Latin for after school, or afternoon. So we're Edward Little afternoon, we're open and we're there till 4:30. So what is ElPM beyond that? It is an academic, outcome-based opportunity for high school students to earn credit through self-paced, independent study. The short version is it's academic and it's independent study. One other thing, moving on, is I was in the military for quite a while, and one thing they always taught me is to focus on the mission. So of course we have a mission, and our mission is to help at-risk students recover credits and meet learning targets. Now we could have put the period right there and it would have been complete, but when we wrote this years ago, we decided that we needed to add in the safe environment piece, and it's really served us well. So recovering credits and meet learning targets in an academically, physically, socially, and emotionally safe environment. ElPM does whatever it takes to help students graduate and become contributing members of our community. Our process, how it works, is students are referred to ElPM usually by the guidance counselors, sometimes by administrators. Often it's after they've failed a class. Sometimes there's other reasons why they may be brought to us if they can't attend class in person. Our assignments, we have paper-based and virtual. We originally started with all paper-based, and we've been slowly converting them over to virtual. The students can work off-site, they can work at home, they can work in the learning lab. They can also come down to our room at the high school and work with us. Once they complete all the assignments and they successfully pass all the assessments, then they get the credit. If they don't complete something, they're not done until they complete it and pass it. It may take a few weeks, it may take a few months, that's totally up to them. The details, so there's the staff is Mr. Gleason and myself. Mr. Gleason focuses on the math and science, and I do the social studies and the English. As far as the lab, we're open Monday through Friday during school and after school in room 142. There's no appointment needed. The students can come, if it's during school, they get a pass, but after school, they can come and go as they see fit and whatever works for them. No appointment, right, said that, okay. We work with students to help remove barriers. A lot of these kids that have failed classes, there's underlying reasons why, whether it's homelessness, food insecurity, just bad relationships. There's a lot of reasons. So we try to talk with kids and kind of build a relationship with them, and then we can hopefully point them in the right direction to get help with whatever it is they need. So why it works? I think the biggest reason is because the staff truly cares about the student's success. So I know that's myself, but sometimes you just have to toot your own horn. So myself and Mr. Gleason, we care that the kids succeed. And success is not always a diploma. Sometimes it's just finishing that biology, making up the credit. Sometimes it's completing an assignment. And for some kids, it's just walking in the building and being able to stay for an hour. So it really is an individual thing as far as what is success. One thing our model does is it kind of puts the responsibility on the student. They pick the time, they pick how fast they go. It's really up to them. We're there, we build a plan with them. If you can complete this many assignments, you'll be done with biology by this date. And then if you can complete all these credits, you'll graduate on time. But then again, things get in the way, and we have to be flexible. So a lot of times we redo the plan, we sit down, we talk with the kids, figure out what's gonna work. And all the time, we keep a safe, friendly, and a supportive environment. Now, it wouldn't be a presentation without some charts. So here we go. This is, I just went back 6 years. We've been open for, what, 19 years, I believe. This is the 19th year. So I didn't give you all the numbers, but last 6 years, you can see we run right about 100 students on average. And like right now, we have about 50. By the end of the year, we'll probably have about 100.
Mostly seniors?
Mostly seniors and juniors, yeah.
Yeah.
This is the number of half credits that are earned by those students. It does fluctuate, and it always has, but you can see that COVID has kind of taken the fire right out of them. So we have to pump them back up. And if you look at this chart, and then you look at the next chart, they're almost the same. And this is the number of students that are graduating, that are using our program. It usually runs around 50, but it has dropped. And now, in 2020, the credit requirements were reduced. So there's no excuse there, but except for COVID. And then last year, I don't know what happened, but a lot of our students didn't graduate. I don't know if they gave up or the remote learning, not sure. Moving forward, we want to be more proactive in using the flex period to bring kids down to our room when we need to connect with them. And as always is important is increasing communication among the students, staff, and the parents. That pays dividends so much when you reach out to the parents. It is time consuming, and of course, once you do that, you start getting busier, and then you don't have time to make the phone calls, but that's important. And then lastly, we're still moving our assignments over to Google Classroom. I hope we don't need them coming up soon. That's all I have. If you have any questions, any easy questions, I'm here.
Any questions? Yes.
Thank you very much for this. And you're right, I had no idea it existed. So, great program. Could you just toggle back to your enrollment slide and then your graduation slide for
So there's
18,
our
19?
enrollment.
Okay. And then you said your graduation numbers dipped.
Yeah, this is the number of credits earned and then the graduating, how many of our students graduated.
Okay.
But those aren't, when you flip back, sorry, Jason, I'm gonna, just
Yeah.
a,
You know where I'm getting at, though. I'm looking for like more of a percentage of graduation versus enrollment.
right,
I
if
think,
you
for
flip
comparison.
back to the number of students you have, those aren't necessarily all seniors who are just about,
Correct.
right? So you've got, you don't, it's not differentiated between these are our underclassmen and these are our senior
It's total
class?
enrollment.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think we probably need a little bit more detail on,
I've
i.e.,
got
you know,
lots of numbers.
seniors enrolled, seniors graduated.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
just some of
that's,
that data
I was
point
trying to
is
make a
little bit
correlation between the two as well, but there's, yeah, they're lumped all in. All students are lumped in. Any other questions?
So the number, the last number about the graduating, did they not graduate because they decided not to continue with your program, or what kind of
Well, it's a variety of reasons. Sometimes they just drop out. I mean, they disappear. Sometimes they switch over to adult ed or the high set program, which is the old GED. Yeah, for 100 kids, there's 100 reasons to why they either are successful or they're not.
Any other questions? All right, so thank you so much
Oh,
for
you're
the
very welcome.
services
Thank
you
you.
offer. We thank you. You're sort of like that quiet support in the background, so we thank you for your work, absolutely. All right, moving on. We have no, if I'm not wrong about this, I don't believe we have a student rep report this evening. So we're under superintendent's report.
Thank you very much, Chairperson Matthew. I put at your place this evening some late-breaking news that is very good for the school department. We received notification from the Maine Department of Education that 3 revolving renovation projects that we had requested have been approved. This is very good news for us. Those 3 projects will be at the Auburn Middle School for windows, at the RETC Center for ADA accommodations, bathrooms, and an elevator, and at Walton for windows and doors. So the terms of the revolving renovation are included in your packet. Mr. Conrad will be the point person for this, along with Mr. Hunter. Mr. Conrad, is there anything that you'd like to say about the approval for the revolving renovation applications?
I think in particular, the addition of the elevator to RETC is a really important piece because there are students whose participation has been limited in some cases because we don't have that ADA access. So that was really good news for us, and that's worth $1 million. We were very pleased to see that.
So it is very good news. Thank you very much. Anyone have any questions regarding revolving renovation applications?
Yes.
Your Honor?
I'm sorry. Was this on the 5-year CIP last year, or was it supposed to be on the year CIP for this coming fiscal year?
I think it's, so the windows have already been carried on the CIP for this year. That funding won't be necessary within the CIP, so it can be used for other purposes, or I'm concerned that at the end of the day, bids will come in higher than what the revolving loan is for, given the environment we're in. So for the elevator, that was projected into the future, and we'll be able to do that now.
Okay.
Right, any other questions? Pat?
I may be wrong, but is RETC SOS program going to the new high school?
No. Part of
That
it will
changed?
go, the SOS program will move in 2023, but the other program will stay at
Okay,
RETC.
good, thank you.
Good question. Let's not put money into a building we won't be using. Thank you, Pat. Any other questions? Okay.
So continuing on, you have a memo in your packet from me regarding premium pay for Auburn School Department employees. I believe that the memo is clear and lays out the recommendation. This is pursuant to the 2 CPR, which is the circular for federal funds, which is what we get through the ESSER grant, and that this is a reasonable and necessary recommendation for each of our employees. This will recognize the teamwork, flexibility, additional workload, and innovation demonstrated by all members of our staff, and it will acknowledge the extraordinary effort that everyone in the Auburn school team has put forward. I have recommended a process, and the Finance Committee will entertain this recommendation on the 10th. That's their next meeting. If approved, along with the other ESSER recommendations, it will go back to the Auburn School Committee on the 16th for a full vote of its members. If the majority agrees with the recommendation, it will go to the Maine Department of Education as part of an ESSER application revision. I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding my recommendation.
Any questions for Dr. Brown regarding this?
I just want to clarify that this is for everybody in the school department, bus drivers, everybody, not
That's
just
correct.
educators. Okay,
Yes, thank you. This is for crossing guards, ed techs, custodians, everyone. Thank you.
You're a permanent employee and on our payrolls. Okay.
And everybody gets the same amount.
Yes, they do.
Thank you.
The second piece of that is the referral bonuses for staff. This is a recommendation that I've made regarding referring employees to the school department. This would necessitate a memorandum of understanding with the respective negotiations, and if this goes forward, we would need to discuss and agree to that MOU with the respective associations. Any questions about the referral? This will also be on the finance agenda for the 10th.
Any questions for Dr. Brown? All right.
Okay, next on my agenda is I want to let the school committee know that we received the ED 279. This is the document that conveys to the school department the anticipated amount of subsidy that the school department can expect to receive for the 22-23 school year. I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Conrad to just sort of hit the highs of this document and its relevance as we go forward into the budget development process.
We're going to review this in some detail in the upcoming Finance Committee meeting, but essentially, if you look at the ED 279, it appears as if there's a significant increase in funding, but that reflects the fact that our bond costs are increasing with the high school, and the state is paying 88% of those bonding costs. So essentially, the increase that you'll see is a result of increase in bonding costs. If you look at just the state subsidy for operations, for the coming year, it's within $8,000 of where we are this year. What's really driving that is the fact that although there were some areas of increase, there were also some areas of direct reimbursement around special education where, if you look at the one-year lag on that, those costs actually went down. Or I think the better way to look at it is for this year, with the one-year lag, we had a year in which our special education costs went up, and now they've returned to historical levels. So you don't see a real change in the base subsidy, but what's interesting is we received an increase of just under $1.3 million for this year after the budget had gone through the legislative approval process. So actually, we're receiving about $1,269,000 more in this year's budget than what we actually budgeted for revenue from state subsidy. So that does two things. It provides an additional surplus that will go into our fund balance and becomes available for future revenues. It also means as we budget next year's subsidy, even though it's flat from what we're receiving, it'll appear as if it's a $1,269,000 increase in that budget line. So that's very good news for us. So despite the fact it's a level subsidy, it will actually play out as an increase in our budget process.
Thank you, and that's a great segue into the budget process. I want to touch base with where we are in the development of the 22-23 school department budget. A month from this evening, we will present to you the first unveiling of the 22-23 Auburn School Department budget. And as we have done before, I will include a budget message, and you'll get your budget books that evening. That evening will also be one where the administrators will present their individual school budgets. And we will hope to wrap that up in an hour, hour and a half as part of that presentation. When I say we, Mr. Conrad and I have met with every department and school except two, right? So we have two left to go, and we're starting to hone in on what that budget will look like and what the information will be in your budget books. So just as an FYI, because I know there's some new members around the Horseshoe, we will spend some time that evening going through the budget books just to orient you to how it's laid out, how you can find information, because it's a lot to take in. So that will be part of that presentation that night. And then next on my agenda is Dr. Doris to talk a little bit about the numeracy and math initiatives that we have undergoing.
So the math leadership team has been undergoing a review of our math programs here in Auburn, and we actually just had our curriculum subcommittee meeting, and we talked about some of the findings to date. So briefly, I will share those with you. The first step was to look at our data and to rate the instructional practices. So that involved looking at student achievement data and doing some surveys to teachers, parents, and students. And just to highlight the major findings, we found that our student achievement data shows that many Auburn students are not meeting standards in math, as you saw that also on the State of the Schools report back in January. And math professional development for staff has been limited. Best practices in math are not as consistently in place as they need to be in the district, and we need a stronger intervention system for our students who are struggling. So those were our findings from the first step that we went through. The next step was for us to evaluate the current programs that we have in place. So at the K-5 level right now, we use a program called Everyday Math. Grades 6 through 8 are using a new program this year called Illustrative Math. And in grades 9 through 12, we have teacher-designed units based on standards and learning results. So just to highlight the major findings there, for K-5, we found that our current materials are not satisfactory right now, and we need to strengthen our instruction. And we also found that we need more professional development for our teachers in math. And then for grades 6 through 8, we have that new program in place, illustrative math, and so we had some different findings there. The current materials are satisfactory. We are having some good results with those. And what we need now is to provide our teachers with more professional development. And then for the high school, the findings were that some of the current materials are unsatisfactory, and we need to strengthen our instructional practices. So our next step is going to be to look at the illustrative math program K-12. We already have this in place for 6-8. It's a highly rated, research-based program. So the next logical step for us is to look at those materials and evaluate those materials and see if those are going to be satisfactory for us. And if all goes well, and we like those materials, we would put in motion an order for those, to have those in place before the end of the school year to be able to give to teachers. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself there, so we haven't gotten to that step yet, but that's where we are right now in our work.
Is this following sort of the same steps that you followed with the literacy when
Yes.
you assessed the literacy curriculum program
Yes.
here? Okay.
We have some look-fors in terms of the programs and materials. These are our look-fors. We're looking at the focus and coherence of the program in terms of alignment with the Common Core and the Maine learning results and how the progressions work. We're looking at the rigor and mathematical practices. We're looking at the instructional supports within the program and accessibility for all students, and then ease of use.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Dr. Doris? All right, seeing none, thank you, Dr. Doris.
So the last piece on my report is an interim step. Last meeting, there were several school committee members that asked regarding the bus shortage and drivers, and to bring back some information. And I have an interim report tonight, and there will be a full written report on the 16th. When I say we, again, this is Mr. Conrad and I, have taken a look at the things that are informing our bus driver shortage right now. We think it's important to talk with the current employees, and so we're going to be conducting focus groups. We're also going to be using a survey. If people aren't comfortable sharing information with us, they'll be able to do that confidentially, because we think it's important to hear their voice about why they are staying with the Auburn School Department. So we will do that in the next week or so. We will come back to you, because I believe the plan is not a short-term issue, and it needs to be one where we have a longer look on the challenges facing the school department, and I believe that we need to give you some options that you might like to consider. And that will be part of that presentation on the 16th. And we are still working our way through the exit interviews for the people who have left. And so that has not been completed yet. Our HR office is the group that has done those interviews, and we're still want to make sure that folks who have decided to leave have an opportunity to contact us. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Dr. Brown? All right, seeing none, thank you, Dr. Brown. Moving on, school committee chairperson's report. There's nothing under my report formally this evening, but I'm going to shine a light on some of our sports that we have happening. In this past week, it's been a big week for EL sports. We have, for Auburn sports. We have our 7th grade basketball girls at AMS who went 15-0 for the season. Wow. Completely unheard of. Yeah. Nice job. Really put in a long effort. We have Mr. John Shea, who just joined the 1,000-point club in the sport of basketball. Very well. And then we also have the Edward Little's boys hockey, who right now they are first in the state. I believe they're 12-0, and they're first in MPA rankings, and right now they're ranked 3rd nationally. So kudos to all those kiddos out there doing some amazing things in the sports world. All right, moving on. Mr. Mayor, City Council update.
We didn't have a meeting because we had the 5th January in the month. Our next meeting will be on January 7th.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right.
February 7th, I'm sorry.
Committee reports. You have notes from different committees that have met. Any questions on any of the agendas or minutes that went out? All right, seeing none, nothing under old business. So moving on to new business. So I think for new members, one of the things that's, we've talked about this just a little bit ahead of time, is that the policy subcommittee will meet. They'll have conversation, there'll be agenda and minutes, and then what happens is that that pops up under new business. The policies that they've discussed come up under new business for us. So you should have notes on all the conversation that they had as well. Congratulations, Dan, on being appointed chair for that policy committee. Kudos to the person who did that. All right, so with that, can I entertain a motion to approve policy AUB BEDD, which is rules of order, for first read, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. I have a second.
Second.
I have a second.
Second.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, Dan. I thought I heard something. All right, any public comment on this? Open up any public comment on it? All right, seeing none. Questions, comments from the committee? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Policy AUB BEDF voting method. Can I entertain a motion to approve policy AUB BEDF, the voting method, for first read, please?
So moved. Second.
Pat, thank you, Brian, second. Move it out to public comment. Any public comment on this policy? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the school committee. Any questions, comments, debate on this one? Yeah?
I have a question.
Sure.
Where it says at the end, a motion shall be declared carried upon the affirmative vote of the majority of the members present and voting unless otherwise required by law or school committee policy. I guess my question is, isn't this the school committee policy?
I'm going to move it back to the policy committee.
Or am I reading too much into it?
I think it's this policy or any other policies, like I think it's broad, like otherwise required by law or essentially a school policy.
But isn't
So this is a policy, but
this is the policy for voting, so what would trump this voting method if this is not these?
I don't think anything would trump it. I think that is the policy.
Well, the majority need, I believe, more. Let's say if you're terminating an employee, there's certain aspects that have separation. Then not just a simple majority, but a supermajority would be needed.
Does that help answer your question?
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of passing motion AUB BEDF voting method? Brian, saying, all right, motion carries. Thank you. Policy AUB BEDFA abstentions. Can I entertain a motion to approve policy AUB BE? Oh my gosh. Policy AUB BEDFA, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Pam. Bring to public comment. Seeing none, bringing it back to the school committee. Questions, comments on this one? Seeing none, let's bring it to a vote. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Policy AUB BEDG minutes. A motion to approve the policy, please.
So moved.
Second.
Pam, thank you, Brian. Bring to public comment. Anyone here for public comment on that part? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the school committee. Questions, comments? Clarissa?
Since I haven't been here before, I wasn't sure why the section on sharing with committee members was deleted. Is it actually removing some kind of distribution, or is it just doing what's normally practiced?
Let me give that to the policy committee.
I think, I didn't hear you correctly.
So in the last section, minutes of all regular, special, and emergency meetings of the school committee will be provided to school committee members. That's been deleted. So I'm just curious why.
Been crossed out.
Yeah, it's been crossed out, sorry.
Yeah, I think it was just we were following MSA rules. Yeah, just what they, they had the lawyers write that, so we just kind of copied it.
So minutes of all regular, special, and emergency meetings of the school committee will be provided to school committee members.
It does say further up in the middle, though, it does say that draft minutes of meetings will be distributed to all school members prior to meetings at which they are presented for approval.
For approval, so it seems redundant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's redundancy in there, so that's why it was eliminated. All right, thank you for the question. Any other questions, comments? All right, seeing none, let's call for a vote. All those in favor? None opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Policy AUB-BIC, Board Member Freedom of Access Training. Motion to approve policy AUB-BIC, please.
So moved.
Pam, can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions from, or comments from public? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the school committee. I think I'll just make a comment that this is a really good reminder for those of us, even those of us who've been re-elected, that within 120 days, you need to make sure you click on to the website, or the Maine Gov, and pass your training, and submit a form that says you've watched that. If you need help with the link, I will send the link your way. And then that has to be filed with the school department. So we will hand those over to Dr. Brown. So you've got some homework to do, school committee members, if you haven't done so already. All right, any other questions or comments?
So at the end, I do have, it says, at the end, to facilitate documentation of training, the superintendent will make available to the school committee members copies of the state's sample certificate of completion form. So we'll be getting that as well.
Yep. Okay. Yep. It's the same one you did like 2 years
Yep.
ago, 3 years ago. Yep, same one. Thank you. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of approving policy AUB-BIC? Thank you. Motion passes. All right, no more letters. Aaron Towns sabbatical. Can I entertain a motion to approve sabbatical for Aaron Towns as outlined in the memo from Superintendent Brown?
So moved. Oh, second.
Pat moved. Pam, I'll do second. Any public comment on sabbatical?
Aaron's here. if
Seeing none,
anyone-
yes, I was going to say, no, Aaron is here. If we have any questions or comments? I don't think so. Yes, Mr. Levesque?
No, I'll defer to.
Oh, Pat?
I just want to say that Erin rocks. And she has systematically gone all over this world to improve her teaching and her instruction for our kids. And I can't support her enough.
Thank you, Pat. All right, any other questions, comments? Mr. Levesque? Yes.
Yeah, I fully support this, but more background. How often do teachers take advantage of the sabbatical program in the Auburn
Rarely.
school systems?
Very
Rarely.
rarely.
Rarely?
Yeah.
Too rarely? Or should it be more, or is this comparable to other schools?
I can't speak for other
Anecdotally?
schools. I think it's been a long time since one has been approved here in Auburn, largely because of the economics associated with the school budget.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions or comments, Pam?
I was just going to say, I think it's a great opportunity, and I'm glad that our school department supports things like this.
Absolutely. Any other questions or comments?
I'll make those.
All right, seeing none, let's call for a vote. All those in favor to approve sabbatical for Aaron Towns, motion passes. Congratulations, Aaron. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Thank you for coming tonight, too.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Best of luck to you. I know you will do wonderful. All right, upcoming meetings. February 10th is a finance subcommittee meeting. February 16th is a regular school committee meeting. February 22nd is a policy subcommittee meeting. March 2nd is a curriculum subcommittee meeting, as well as a regular school committee meeting. Any requests for future agenda items? Or I should say, future agenda items or requests for information? Oops, seeing none. All right, moving on. I need a motion to entertain a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA for the purpose of negotiations, please.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Pam, all those in favor? All right, we are now in executive session at 6:48 PM. Thank you all. And since we are going to stay here, we're going to clear chambers.